Ooh, slapping and crapping.
When I'm calling you.
Welcome to Book Club for Movies, everybody. For the week of July 27th, I'm Ryan Miller, and slapping and crapping, I guess, Matt Amber. Is that your tagline?
That's what I'm changing all of my names to in every format. So.
Oh wait, it's not a tag. What's a thing when a person has a thing? It's a catchphrase.
It's my catchphrase. I'm gonna put it on a T-shirt. Slapping and crapping. I'm gonna have a picture of a bass on there.
I should change the actual. Yeah, that is a tagline for the website. Haven't done that for a bit.
Slapping and crapping 2020.
Oh, is it 2020 now? All right.
I mean, it is.
It
has been for a little while.
It would be if I did it. No, I got you. Yeah, true. Okay. This week on Book Club for Movies, where we watch one movie a week and then we talk about it, and you can talk to us before we talk about it. Podcast at podcast at bookclubformovies.com, or you can find us on Facebook and Twitter, where we'll respond all the same. This week, we are doing, I found out last week, Mars Attacks.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm just getting right into it is because I know usually you have a synopsis. Matt, the synopsis has been written for us already. Did you know this?
I'm so glad.
I'm going to send you a link live here on air.
Did we already do this movie?
Unedited. No. Well, I mean, not technically.
Okay. I was like, I don't remember. I haven't seen this in a while.
We've talked about it. Oh, is it easy enough for you to get a link if I signal it to you up there on your computer, whatever you're doing?
I'm linking. I do love that the movie was based upon old sports cards.
It was. Sports cards. They were made by Topps, so sure, I guess everything. If you could please scroll down to number 55.
Are you selling sports cards that were produced from 1868 to 1979? Wait, that's not what you want.
Maybe we have a different definition of 55. So
they're actually numbered. Got it. Okay, here we go. I see. 55. All right.
And read us the title of that card. And yes, spoiler, the movie we're doing this week, Mars Attacks, is in fact based on a collectible card series of the same name from... What was the year? 1962. And card number 55 in that series is titled...
A Short Synopsis of the Story.
So if you could please... Maybe, and I'll leave some room for you to embellish or add upon.
Do nothing.
This says nothing of the cast, so I'm sure you'll have to add that. But if you could read that card for our synopsis.
Sure.
I think.
Let's go ahead and start with, we came out here. Mars Attacks is going to come at you an hour and 46 minutes. Written by Jonathan Gems, directed by Tim Burton, starring Jack Nicholson, Glenn Close, Pierce Brosnan, Natalie Portman, Pam Grier, Jim Brown, Tom Jones, Sarah Jessica Parker, Michael J. Fox, Jack Black, and Nick Benning, Martin Short, Lucas Haas, and Lisa Marie.
Oh, it was one breath. We'll count it, everybody.
Here!
Was Rod Steiger in there?
He wasn't. I missed him. There's
Disqualified!
A number of people. Yes. Alrighty. Well, here is your book club for movie synopsis vis-a-vis the original Mars Attacks cards for the Tim Burton film Mars Attacks. Planning to conquer the Earth, Mars sends flying saucers through space carrying deadly weapons. Burning the cities, the Martians destroy much of Earth's population. The enemy then enlarges insects to over 500 times their normal size and releases them on the helpless. But this is not in the movie.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. It's not an exact one-to-one.
People go into hiding, knowing that death is the consequence if they are discovered by the creatures. Despite its losses, Earth launches a counterattack that shatters the Martians on their home planet Mars. So here, let me re-synopsize this for what actually happens in this movie. When Martians make their presence known, landing in the deserts of Nevada, the United States president must decide how to respond in order to promote a peaceful coexist. Do not run. We are your friends. Ack, ack, ack.
Fantastic. So when...
And also starring Rod Steiger.
Thank you. Okay. Requalified, or
yes.
How's that? So when you sprung this on me last week, I will admit, because every now and then you'll hear me utter the words, is there a show in it? Because there are so many movies we want to do, but...
There's not a show in this.
No. Well, and that was kind of maybe my tongue-in-cheek acceptance was that, okay, it'll be fun no matter what. And
It will not be.
for those of you who have heard the show before, it's probably obvious by now that we kind of just pick movies we like and love on them for a while. Most of the time, we get a random one we want to find out about, and boy do we sometimes. But with Mars Attacks, I did kind of wonder. I was like, yeah, sure, I like it, but I don't know how much of a movie is in there. It has a legacy for sure, in both directions, kind of. But I will say I was wrong. Pleasantly surprised after reading up on this thing. I think there's plenty of show
Oh, cool.
in this here movie we got.
That's awesome. I fully admit I hadn't. This was a sprung on me, sprung on you kind of thing.
You sprung it on you, okay. All right.
Yeah, I didn't spring it on myself. Beth had mentioned, she was like, hey, I want to watch Mars Attacks. And I was like, well, the only way that's going to happen is if I do it for the show. So
if I don't produce content with our time together, it's practically worthless.
I don't even understand what we're doing anymore. My entire life is content. And if you're not part of it, get out of it. So it was kind of one of those things, but watching it last night, I got to tell you, man, the movie holds up in every way that I needed it to. let's go ahead and start off big and strong.
That's a great way to put it. This is one of those movies that entered into the cult status type thing, which is strange in a way because I feel like it's based or an homage to movies that have entered before the definition existed, but that entered cult status by way of being these 50s sci-fi B movies type things, which you mentioned one last week when we said we were going to do this.
Earth versus the Flying Saucers.
Yes. Did you get to watch that?
I didn't even think about it, honestly. I mean, after I mentioned it, but it's a good one.
I would agree. Probably. I will someday.
Also, Earth versus the Flying Brain. I think that's...
Oh, is that a follow-up? What is that?
No, it's just another movie.
my mistake.
Earth was versus a lot of things in the 50s, okay?
Okay. And still to this day.
Yeah.
And I guess since reading up on this, it cites a number of other ones. Okay, so maybe to go even farther back. This movie was pitched by, you mentioned his name already, the writer.
Jonathan Gems.
Jonathan Gems. How could I forget?
Great
name.
A
gem of himself, just completely. It did like 4 or 5 things, actually. I've looked him up. You wouldn't know him from anything else.
All right.
Which, in a way, if you're going to be a man that is known by one thing primarily, let it be Mars Attacks. I
agree. That's what I think of. Like, people are like, favorite Jack Nicholson movie. I'm like, you mean the only movie he's been in, Mars Attacks?
And he was in it twice. That's what I love about the cast too. So part of the reason I was excited and I think accepted to do this is because I wanted to hear you do the cast or say it out loud or try to.
So obnoxious. And
it doesn't end there.
No.
I love that they, number one, pared down the original 60 main characters to 23 for the film.
It's still seem like too few, honestly.
And even after all of that, they gave Jack Nicholson 2.
They gave Jack Nicholson 2. And I forgot. So I have forgotten so much about the movie. When that happened, I lost it, man. I seriously nearly blew out. Like I almost spit out the drink I had in my mouth. I forgot about it. It is so funny to see him go from being Jack Nicholson to Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson.
Like it's Jack Nicholson to Jack Nicholson with flair.
And I guess that came about when Nicholson was approached by Burton, who they already had a good working relationship. Directors get attached, and they did on Batman, where he played the Joker. And
is that where they knew each other from?
Yes, that is where they knew each other. Which they were going to bring in a third from that series, and I'll tell you who it was in a second.
Daryl Hannah.
Is she in Batman?
No, I'm thinking of Kim Basinger, but I said Daryl Hannah.
Oh, there you go. Jack Nicholson was approached by Tim Burton, and when given it says he didn't actually read the script, he just agreed because he liked Burton. But when he was approached with the role of the president, he also jokingly remarked once he saw the cast list or the how many characters are in the thing that why don't I just play all of them? So from that they pared it down to only 2. Yeah.
Why don't I just play all of them? It's what I ask myself every day.
Nice. Christian Slater. Where'd you get that?
I've been watching a lot of Mr. Robot.
That would be, oh man. If Mr. Robot, I know it's over. Can it end with because he's
Nicholson
like a
showing
figment.
up.
Can he have his own figment where he's just actually Jack Nicholson the whole
I
time?
think Jack Nicholson should be in more movies where with Christian Slater just showing up and looking at him funny.
Did they ever do a movie together?
I don't think so.
They probably consciously
By
avoided
they,
that,
I'm willing to bet it's just Jack Nicholson, because my guess is that Christian Slater is not one to go, I don't want to be in a movie with huge movie star Jack Nicholson. Whereas
Fair
Jack Nicholson may be the kind of movie star is like, I don't want to be in a movie with a 2-bit me.
Fair enough. I don't know where we're going with all this. A few of the other B movies mentioned. Oh, that's where we were going. So Jonathan Gems pitches 2 movies to Burton, who is at the time knee deep in producing Ed Wood, and says, "Okay, what about Dinosaur Attacks?"
Terrific film.
And
by
also, did that turn into something eventually?
Ed Wood?
Oh, Ed Wood. Yes, sorry. No, so he pitches 2 films. I thought you meant Dinosaurs
No.
Attack.
Yeah, that sounds great
Gotcha.
though. Also,
That apparently did not make it into anything.
oh,
For the reason Burton cited was that Jurassic Park already existed. But when he pitched Mars Attacks at the same time, since he was knee deep in Ed Wood, he was like, "Oh, this would actually be a pretty good follow up and
yeah, it's actually funny. That's
homage,
didn't even think about it.
homage, you could say,
I won't say that.
to the director." So, other movies that they cite in that same breath: Invaders from Mars, It Came from Outer Space, The War of the Worlds. We'll come back to that. Target Earth. One where Earth is the target, not versus something. Look at
It's
that.
obscene.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers and Earth versus the Flying Saucers, etc., etc. So while it does have a long cinematic legacy, it also is based on this card series that is gorgeous. One, I don't know if you still have it up.
Yeah,
there.
no, I've seen the artwork on the
Have you
cards
seen it? Okay.
before. Yeah,
It's so good looking. It's that perfect like 50s.
it's that 50s proto future sci-fi.
Yep.
It's like the
It's
ray
great.
guns.
I love looking at all of these. You can just Google it, and I'm on oldsportscards.com, and they just have them all up there, and they actually have kind of descriptions, the pictures of them. And that one I had you read was actually the backside of the checklist, which apparently is so rare because people used it, like they wrote all over it, that thing will give you a cool 2,500 if you can find one.
I don't know how cool it is, but I like it.
You got any Mars Attacks cards hanging out in the shop?
No.
Matt works part-time at I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, a comic book shop.
You've already
of sorts.
said it. It is a
Did I?
I mean, it's not an of sorts. It's a comic book shop.
Okay, all right. Well, I didn't know if they had like additional collectible items.
They
there
do.
type thing.
They have cards, but we don't have Mars Attacks cards.
Okay, all right. Well, it's not legitimate.
I like how most of them are $275.
Yeah, I mean, you get the feeling that he's kind of. That's what I love about a lot of collectible stuff. It's just like, what does the one guy who maybe has them think they're worth?
Yeah. How much? How can I bilk people?
Yep.
I do no,
So.
but you know the artwork is really it's fantastic artwork, and I do love that there's a number of things in here, like they use the giant robot that they have in here. They kind of use that in the movie. They straight up use the design
Yes.
of the Martians,
Yep.
which is great.
And not just that, like this isn't to me a normal collectible card series, and I don't know if this was normal for the time or how many have done it before or since, but it tells a story.
Yeah.
Like they go in chronological order, and it's telling a story, which Jonathan Gems claimed he didn't know at the time when he wrote the actual script. I guess I would buy that because what actual story is in this movie, you know, it's obvious that they went back at some point and saw what some of the cards were and added them. But a lot of these are pretty dark, man. Like
They're
there's
all
home
really
invasions. Some of them are bloody. Like there's brains, not just the Martian brains exposed, but like people brains exposed. There's one that's a little rapey. I don't know if you got to that one yet. I'm sorry, I keep mentioning that on the show.
I'm going in reverse right now, but I'm looking for all the the funny things. Like there's so many things that they do in the movie that are pulled right from the cards.
Yeah. There's a cattle on fire in there. Funnily enough, they did a lot more of these dark ones that didn't actually end up in the movie. The MPAA had them cut or requested them to be cut.
Oh, that's
at some point.
bummer.
I don't know at what stage, because yeah, they were apparently pretty bloody. A lot of the deaths had to do with dissecting, which we get at least one of those still with Pierce Brosnan in this movie. But
well, I mean, we get two.
Do we get another?
I mean, technically, you get to see, like, it's just her head, but Sarah Jessica Parker.
Oh, right. I guess
her head has been placed on the Chihuahua, and the Chihuahua's head is placed on her body.
A co-dissection, which I'm glad you mentioned the Chihuahua. It makes me think of card number 36, titled "Destroying a Dog." If you haven't got to that one,
yeah. They actually do that with they do that with the president's dog.
Yes, and that's another thing that made it in. Some of the things that did make it in the robot, like I said, the cattle.
The freeze ray. I think they had did they do the freezing in this, or am I thinking of something else? Maybe not.
Maybe, but the main thing I want to talk about that did make it in is if you go to, again, this is
the burning flesh number 19. That's constant.
Yes, very probably. Oh, the shrink ray is in there.
The shrink ray. Yeah.
But number 13, called "Watching from Mars," they're laughing. Like most of it is pretty dark, not necessarily serious. It's that pulpy look or whatever. But number 13, they are pointing and laughing. And if anything made it over to this film, it was that, dialed up past 11,
Definitely.
as the kids say, right?
Kids say that for sure.
They do. I'm sure of it. I know kids. I have one. She said "dope" the other day for the first time.
Oh, wow.
I don't think I've ever said that, honestly, either. Not without trying to make myself sound really stupid.
Okay.
Not because I don't like it. I think that was past my prime, which it probably wasn't. I think that came into use in the 70s or 80s, and then...
I don't know. It's pretty dope, though.
Was it ever? So I just thought it was interesting that not only did these cards tell a story, which, in fact, arguably more of a story than the movie itself, but there were all these elements right up to the humor, which I think was taken and run with by everybody involved. But you're right also, the look of the aliens, everything. What do you think about the look of the aliens? I think this is the thing I hear most often about, which, by the way, I guess I should mention, they were going to be stop motion for the longest time. Like, people were hired. I think the guy they did hire, Selleck, was busy doing James and the Giant Peach. But they got, I can't remember, I'm sorry. But they did some work for a while before it was decided it would be too expensive and ILM would have been cheaper somehow.
I would have loved to have seen that.
It would have been something. I thought about it because honestly, I don't think the effects have aged poorly. I actually like them.
I think in the context of the movie, I think especially the aliens themselves and the way that they're integrated into the film itself, I think actually works. It's fairly seamless still. They're cartoony, but the whole movie.
The word comic comes up many times in all descriptions, it seems.
Sure. I can go with that. I guess that the thing that I said to somebody the other night was I think this goes with that particular thing, like the look of the CGI in this particular case, is the fact that the movie is obviously a love letter to the 50s B movies.
Yes.
Using what you can use, and none of that stuff, for the most part, really looked, especially as you got older. I mean, but even at the time, it was like that stuff didn't necessarily look scary or real or anything.
No.
But that wasn't necessarily even the reason you were going to see the movie, right? So it's not only is it a love letter, and I think it works on that level. I think that it also, with the design, with the CGI, it is the upgraded version of the B movie. It's, it definitely has more money behind it than most of those B movies did, but Burton, for all intents and purposes, took all of that money and just made a B movie. And the only reason it's better is because he was able to afford Jack Nicholson and Glenn Close. When you get massive stars and people that take it seriously and play the role as like, I'm going to do it the way, I'm going to play this like it's, here we go. It's let's have fun. It's a movie. We're doing it for real. It's 1950s now. I don't know where else you go with it. Like, it all kind of seamlessly fits.
Yeah, no, I mean, say what you will about what you think about the final product. You can't say that they didn't know what they were doing. Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the reasons Burton wanted stop motion, he says, is because he wanted it to have that B-movie feel. He wanted the effects to look bad. I forget what the actual quote is, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And even though it went to ILM after that to CGI, he still wanted them to look bad in a way. And I don't think that, when I'm talking about it's kind of still early CGI, you can definitely tell that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that looks hokey. You know, the brains exploding, the smiles, even just the voice, everything about the aliens, in fact. And yeah, I agree with you. I don't mind how they look at all. In fact, if you have an issue with how they look at all, you got to look at the card series. Like,
I think the design is awesome.
Seeing very few liberties taken. It's just, they just look like they do on the cards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think if anything, it's the cards might have just a little more detail to the costuming itself. But
yeah,
I think the dome on their heads was a little rounder. But I mean, at the end of the day,
you're right. This is garbage. Yeah, what am I talking about?
This is barely based on this card. They're not even square, so who cares? I think I love the design of the aliens, man. I think the Martians are just they're great. I love that we also get them in a variety of outfits. Like, you know, you've got the head Martian who wears the like really ornate cloak, and then you've got the stormtrooper kind of Martians. But then you also see them when they're like on the ship and they're just hanging around in their underwear. Which I think is really, really, really funny. That they're just, well, we just hang out in our undies.
Dude, what would you do? You're in a flying saucer flying around the country. How soon would clothes go out the window? Pretty soon, I argue.
You're not going to sit in those suits. They got to be warm. But like, I love that there's a sequence towards the end where you see them getting the suits on, like they're preparing for the full scale invasion, and they run into a total. It's that Looney Tunes cartoony thing where they all are like lined up and they step forward, and two like little like mechanical things smushed together on top of them and like create the suit that they're fully like dressed in the suit with the gun.
Little Acme label right on there.
Right. Yeah, it's it's one step away from that. It's perfect.
Totally fine with that. Totally cool.
Love it.
Never had a problem with that.
And I do love when their heads explode too. Like the way that they did the goo and the popping sounds, really funny.
And honestly, it goes down to the smallest things, the sound effects, everything surrounding. And I guess this might go more to cinematography which, speaking of which, Tim Burton hired Peter Suschitzky, who I did not know his name. Do you?
No.
One of David Cronenberg's cinematographers, because he so even a little bit more sense there. But all the way down to the sounds, you know, in fact, I swear the Martians, I mean, yes, they're being probably run through a filter, like there's a translator and all this stuff, probably in the movie, you know, maybe it's actually coming out of a speaker. I don't know if there's an in-movie reason for it. But I love that they sound like they're coming from a 1950s telephone all the time. You know, like there's an obvious filter on them, and it's great. It adds to the whole thing.
It's the thing right here that they've got like on.
Is that why? Okay,
that's kind of, I guess. I mean, that's what makes sense, right?
I swear it's still on, like even when they're talking in the spaceship, though,
it's
right,
perfect.
to each other without it. I don't know. I guess I'll have to go back.
We're filtered.
The ray gun sound, I guess they wanted to straight up use. I have this somewhere. The sound from War of the Worlds, but Paramount refused.
Oh, it's pretty close.
In any event, they got something, yes, that I wouldn't be able to tell you wasn't that, you know.
Yeah, if you listen to them, I mean, and this is like funny, if you listen to them side by side, you'd hear it. Like I can hear it in my head. The War of the World.
Oh, I guess, yeah.
The War of the World ones is definitely more of a wah, 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 wah. And these ones are a little, they're different. But
few other things. If you like the look of the red and green skeletons, I guess that was a decision because the movie came out around Christmas.
I was really curious about that because there's no reason the guns, they have them, that they shoot red and green lasers. Like, it's like they were gonna do something with them and then they didn't.
No, I guess that's as deep as it goes. It was Christmas time.
It's like they just get bored when they're creating their weapons of kill.
Well, I mean, if I was in IMDb adding a bad trivia to the trivia page, I might put this in the director trademark category because Tim Burton, you know, Nightmare Before Christmas, he's always had a thing.
Edward
Even some of his earliest Scissorhands, some of his earliest Disney animations involve Christmas and a dark Christmas type thing. So yeah, I like the look. 2 for 2, we agree. I get the feeling we're gonna like this movie. And I know we're going to keep coming back to the cast, but the guy I mentioned who almost showed up in the film as well, who almost took the other role. So Jack Nicholson plays the president, and a guy named Art Land, who's a Vegas mogul or wannabe Vegas mogul setting up a casino. Also, or originally considered for Art Land, depending on what you read, Michael Keaton.
Keaton, sure.
Yeah, which I could see and almost think he would have, like, that's his perfect character.
Oh,
it's basically Beetlejuice in a different costume.
I would have loved to seen him just dress like Michael Keaton, but with the whole just looking like Michael Keaton with the cowboy hat on and just doing those same lines. It would be great. Yeah.
And okay, last thing I'll say about the cast. I was watching this with my wife, and I think the first one she clued in on was Martin Short. Like, oh, I didn't know Martin Short was in this because he shows up pretty early on. He plays the press secretary. And I was like, yeah, I think that's going to happen a lot. And yeah, like after every person, oh, I didn't know. In fact, at the very end of the movie, she's like, did Tim Burton direct this? And I was like, so that kept happening with the cast all the way up to the end with the director. The guy that I forgot about was Michael J. Fox, actually.
Totally forgot about him in the beginning, yeah.
Who's not in it for a long time. He's kind of a love interest for Sarah Michelle
Jessica Parker.
Sorry, yes, Sarah
Buffy.
Michelle Gellar, Jessica Parker.
Are you watching Buffy right now? Because I also restarted it recently. Oh.
I've never seen it. It's on my list. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Go ahead. Make the face. Do it. Go now.
I'm
You got
not.
3 seconds to make the face. He's making the face.
Ah.
It's not the face I thought it would be, but
I love that little bit where Sarah Jessica Parker and Michael J. Fox are it's their last scene together, and it's during the massive invasion and everything has gone to pot in the Nevada desert, and he jumps off of like the top of his news van, does this like super diving roll across the ground, evading all this gunfire, gets onto the ground, starts crawling towards her, and as they're like right there, they reach out and they're barely holding hands, and then he's just vaporized.
Yep. Which is what I love most about this cast. I love that Michael J. Fox is in it. I love that he's like
The disposability of them.
Yes, exactly. None of the A-listers survive.
No.
The only ones that survive are the complete unknowns, actors that I haven't seen before or since, honestly.
Come
there's
on.
Like
you saw Lucas Haas. We just talked about the pin recently in Brick.
Lucas Haas.
He was the pin in Brick.
You're right. I forget still. Who was he?
He was the donut. He's the guy who saves the earth with his grandma.
Oh, I've got it. I was thinking of freaking Brain. Yeah, okay. You're right. Yeah, he's the Kingpin. Okay, yeah, I get that. Nice.
Yeah, Lucas Haas. He was in a bunch of stuff. He's in a lot of stuff. He was in Solar Babies.
At the time, he definitely wasn't. Let's say that.
He was in Solar Babies.
Okay, prove my
He
point.
was actually in a lot of stuff then.
No,
too.
he wasn't.
All right. He was in one episode of Indiana Jones Chronicles, though.
Okay, all right.
You'll get to that. He plays Norman Rockwell.
I don't think either of us would consider him an A-lister, let's say. And I'm
he's not an
using
A-lister in any respect.
Okay.
No, I mean, even at the time, Natalie Portman was not an A-lister. Pam Grier and Jim Brown were never A-listers.
Actually, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I was going to say you're proving me wrong now.
Pam Grier's amazing, but she was never an A-lister.
Yeah, and I'm not using this in a derogatory fashion either.
It's you're derogatory. But the closest thing to like the A-lister that survives, I think, is Tom Jones. Annette Bening, I can't remember if she dies or not.
This is the weirdest conversation to keep having about. They kill everybody. Anybody that matters. Annette Bening does not matter. That's all I'm saying. That's just put it on my tombstone. Sausage and pepperoni.
All right. Jack Black also.
Jack Black also dies. Also probably not an A-lister. I didn't look up everybody's in this movie. They all die. That's what I love about it. I think that's the only place I was going with it.
I've been just trying to drag this out of you to see how long I can get it to go. How long?
Well, you dragged it out so long that Google logged me out here. So you say something.
Google logged you out. I've been trying to do this show, but Google failed me, so I had to stop.
I'm back in. That'll teach you.
Haha, got me.
So the cast is good. Michael J. Fox says this is intense while reading a paper just like Marty McFly. Look at it.
Martin McFly.
And I don't think we need to go through the plot necessarily, or we have several times over already. Did you think of any other movies while watching this?
No, this is a singular film to me. Like I recognize the bunch of different B movies that I now want to go back and watch.
Sure, okay,
but I really don't kind of think of there just isn't much that I can think of even that's this. This is kind of that unique. It's incredibly unique. Tim Burton. It's unique to almost all of those actors. Like you just don't see them doing things like this. That's funny, goofy, weird, irreverent, gory in some respects.
Okay. Yes. Agree.
So no.
Any contemporary films of the same time.
What are you trying to eke out of me here? You're clearly trying to elicit a response that I'm not doing, because it just doesn't make me think of.
Like 10 minutes into this thing, I'm like, when did Independence Day come out? They came out the same year.
Only because of the desert.
The desert. There's also an impassioned speech by each president. Which one's better? Who knows?
It's impossible to really tell.
Again, I was like, when did Independence Day come out? Like, was this a riff on that? Did they know? They came out the same year. And yes, they've been asked about it numerous times, to the point where they both have quotes about it. Jonathan Gems says, Independence Day is more like a movie called Failsafe, which I hadn't heard of, which is now on my list. And Mars Attacks is like Dr. Strangelove. Perfect sense. Burton, it was just a coincidence. Nobody told me about it. It almost seemed like we had done a Mad Magazine version of Independence Day without knowing it.
It's true. It's the two different ways to attack the White House.
Yeah, not included the current one going on right now. Politics,
burn. Wear a mask.
But it had me thinking about what the actual difference was between these two things, because Independence Day, huge success. Mars Attacks, not a huge success. They, after numerous notes and concessions, I want to say the budget was well over $100 million, and they got it down to 80 or a projected. Warner Bros. Wanted it to be 60 is what it was. They nixed the stop motion to get there. They again cut some characters. They probably was a motivating factor for getting it down to a PG-13 rating.
Why they had actors play multiple roles.
I'm sure it didn't hurt. But in the end, it came out to 80 million, 20 million marketing, so 100 million total. It made, after box office and everything altogether overseas and everything, 100 million. Oh, sorry, 101 million. So
barely broke even.
A complete failure, in the words of anybody with a pocketbook, I guess. A pocketbook. I'm from the 50s too.
Look at you! I see you cruising around the street with your pocketbook.
So I'm here thinking about the differences between Mars Attacks and Independence Day. And by the end of the film, I think the only answer I had, besides those two beautiful answers that we have from the people that actually know,
Pam Grier,
were another beautiful answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
But it's the cynicism, right? Independence Day is still positive for all of it. You know, it's very
Today
affirming.
Is our Independence Day.
Yes. What's the power fantasy type thing?
Mars
we
Attacks,
have a president that
we're about to die. Everybody save yourself.
And I don't even necessarily mean that Mars Attacks is a cynical movie. I don't think it's making any grand statement about the state of the world or whatever. I just think that's the joke. Obviously, they set up this perfectly cynical, like when the Martians come initially, and it's all a bunch of, they're coming in peace. Pierce Brosnan plays the perfect professor who's like they're an advanced species.
So of course they're going to be supportive of peace. And
this is done like 3 different times where they come together and the aliens just zap the heck out of them, and still, there's one of my favorites was the first one they zap a dove that was released, and then they zap everybody. And then the second time they come together with Congress in the same room and they just zap all of Congress.
All of Congress.
And Natalie Portman's like, guess it wasn't the dove. And the grandma just laughs and says they blew up Congress, and that's not even the last time it's going to happen. So from there, it shortly becomes this completely just bonkers, pranktastic invasion. They redo the not the Statue of Liberty, the Mount Rushmore. They take over one of Tom Jones's act as the backup dancers for a while before they start zapping people. All these just completely ridiculous things. And honestly, a large part of the movie is taken up with that.
Yeah.
And I still love it.
No, it's fun. It's these little vignettes of Martians ruining America in the weirdest ways possible.
They throw a huge bowling ball, which they know what bowling is.
I love that.
At the Easter Island statues.
And I like the what are they? Is it the Leaning Tower of Pisa that they go to knock over? And then,
do they?
I don't remember which one it is. It's one of them where they go to knock it over and people run, and then they get the saucer goes to the other side and pushes it when they run the other direction.
Oh no, that was the Washington Monument.
It's the Washington Monument, right?
Yes. They're messing with a group of Boy Scouts that are running from
That's right. They're trying to crush the Boy Scouts.
Which those Boy Scouts still smarter than, was it Charlize Theron in Prometheus?
Again, horizontal running, not vertical, but you live your life, Charlize.
Not that I think we need to say a negative thing, but it's always fun when we get something. The whole Lisa Marie bit, right, where she is that iconic alien that preys upon Martin Short's tendencies with the ladies of the night.
Just fantastic.
And he brings her into the Kennedy room or whatever the joke is, and she kills him and then tries to kill the president and his wife. What was the whole point? Why the covert op?
Oh, because it was totally. I mean, you could see so it was definitely about killing the president, and I think
why?
Just for fun. I seriously think it was supposed to be a game,
and that's where I think they screwed up though, is because when that plan fails, they're mad.
Oh yeah,
and they take revenge. They should have just pointed and laughed again, like
They do
I
get
think
mad.
That was a weird thing for me, I guess. So
that's fair.
If I had to pick a nit somewhere, maybe. And it's dumb because it's like an iconic scene regardless, just from the look of Lisa Marie down to the
so funny
everything. It's amazing.
we were talking about that all last night. Was there are a couple moments where, I mean, obviously she's on some kind of a dolly, but there are moments where it looks like she really is walking, and I'm like, God, is she wearing skates or something to make it look like that?
Yeah.
She looks like she's really walking, like she's not on something, like she's not on.
Oh, she half looks like she is and isn't. Yeah, no, which is
It's weird. It's great.
Yeah, Burton knows a thing or two about disturbing. Like vaguely disturbing, even not just purely disturbing. So they find out that a couple songs, an artist in particular, Mr. Slim Whitman, has a voice that will shatter their brains inside. Not even the glass, not even their just explodes their brains.
Wait, let me. I'm curious. I want to see if I get this before you finish it.
All right.
Is it the fact that he figures it out at the it accidentally happens, they realize what it is, and now for whatever reason suddenly everybody knows about it?
No, and it's funny again where we draw the lines anywhere.
If I had
movie.
to pick a nit, that might be it, where for whatever reason everybody now figured out that they need to play this Slim Whitman song.
Well, I guess there's two featured. There's Indian Love Call and I'm Casting My Lasso.
Either way, you're winning.
No, I didn't have an issue with that for some weird reason.
I'm glad that we're both very nitpicky on very different things in this.
I just felt it was my duty to say a negative thing about one movie that I love once a year.
Sure.
So, just to get to the end of the film here, and also one of my favorite, I think it has a perfect ending. The people that do survive, the heart possibly of this entire movie, Pam Grier and Sam Wilson? No, is that
Pam Grier, Jim Brown, and Lucas Haas and Natalie Portman,
Annette Bening, but the group that escapes Vegas
and Tom Jones.
Yes, and Tom Jones. Ends with them, basically, is the parting shot where a dove flies into screen, lands on Annette Bening's finger. There's been not a go-go dancer.
Drag dancer.
No, the Cindy. Her name is actually Cindy, even though you don't find out.
Lauper.
I wish. Showgirl. Showgirl. I've tried to block that word out of my mind for various reasons. It's hard to recall it. Showgirl, Cindy, shows up with a ferret for no reason. She just comes out of the cave with a ferret. She's got a ferret.
She found it.
And Tom Jones starts petting some deers nearby, and as he's petting the deers, he catches an eagle, and then slowly he starts dancing, he can start to hear the music again. Which I love the cut, because it's not that he actually starts singing or that you think the music is playing actually in the movie. It's just that he's he's starting to hear it again.
He's just feeling it.
It's just feeling it.
He's vibing.
And then it cuts. It's great.
A great movie, man. It's I don't even think we should give this movie stars. I think we should give it Mars bars. I don't know. It's 100 of them. It's really good.
I'm gonna give it 55 stars. The number of cards from the original Mars Attacks
Well,
collector card
it's
series.
got to be out of 55 then, because that's how many there are.
That's Mars Attacks. Oh my gosh. Are you ready for the return of stupid trivia?
I am. It's a stupid trivia
IMDb's.
that's completely unrelated, yet I have a real, for whatever reason, just excited notion to potentially pick up Destroy All Humans. It comes out this week, the remake.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Wow, that was okay.
And
this was not in any way made in conjunction with
And
it.
I feel like it might be going on Game Pass right away.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. Everything seems to be doing that
And
now.
if it is, I'm definitely going to play it.
You still Game Passing too, it seems?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. I like it. Me too. In fact, I'm going to do that ultimate thing now that they said that xCloud is part of the...
xCloud! Anyways, come listen to the video game show that we canceled 6 months ago.
I've got a toss-up here for you. You ready? I'll let you vote.
Okay.
When Press Secretary Jerry Ross, Martin Short, is courting the Martian girl, Lisa Marie, he brings her into a secret room which he calls the Kennedy Room, a reference to John F. Kennedy's rumored extramarital dalliances while in office. There is a fish tank in the room, which contains the species of fish that inspired almost the entire cast of Finding Nemo, 2003, including Nemo, Gil, Dory, and Bubbles. No sharks, shrimp, whales, or pelicans, though. Period.
Yeah. No pelicans
And then-
inside the Kennedy Room, idiots. Come on.
We're not done yet. The icing on the cake for this here trivia is that she, who knows,
They.
concedes. It says, the coincidence occurred probably because these species are the most popular and colorful types of saltwater aquarium fish. So regardless wins an award for also admitting it's a coincidence and not a piece of trivia. But...
You just undercut yourself. Like you tried to make a point and then you cut your own legs out from underneath you. I don't know what the purpose was, but
Wait,
I respect
so he
it.
probably listens to the show, actually.
They're one of those people that figures it out as they go and say, you know what, you realize I should not have recorded this. And I certainly should not have given the recording to another person. And
I should not have made this available to the public.
With the assumption that they'll figure it out and cut it out so that I don't sound like a complete idiot instead of highlighting it in every way. Thank you, Ryan.
So hard. It's going to be hard to beat, but I
Okay.
think we've got a contender at the very least.
Contend with
Because,
me.
quote, the sound of the Martians' ray guns seems very similar to the sound that aliens emitted when raising their hands as built-in ray guns versus opponents in the original Outer Limits episode titled The Children of Spider County. United Artists originated this series. This guy's super smart. The sound seems similar to Paramount Pictures' War of the Worlds ray guns. If identical, perhaps the two studios reached an agreement around 1964. We've got no actual...
That's just somebody having a conversation that we're having and then putting it as
We
fact.
have an alleged trivia now.
We should definitely start writing trivia for all of these.
Which one wins? That's
Oh
my
no, the
question.
second one I think definitely
second
is
one?
the
Okay.
real winner on that one.
There you
for
have
me.
it. And technically, we're all a winner, I think is what it comes down to. So we gave it stars. It's Mars Attacks. It's great. We love it. This is Book Club for Movies. Let's do it all over again. Podcast at bookclubformovies.com. Facebook, Twitter. Matt.
That's me. Yes.
How'd you like the 100th episode, by the way? Okay.
A little disappointing, to be honest with you. I think maybe we should have planned for this. We didn't, and this is what happened.
Extremely somehow appropriate. But
We took the easy way out.
I love that we forgot it 2 times in a row. Number one, last week we just completely forgot. And yes, we are planning
Was it
something.
last week?
No. Last week we forgot to mention that the 100th episode was, I mean, yes, they're all labeled, so somebody knew somewhere.
I've never looked.
But just when I
don't
told
look
you
at
after the
numbers.
fact, after we decided on Mars Attacks, I was like, hey, by the way, it's episode 100. And you're like, ha ha ha.
Oh, a titter, a chortle.
But since then, inspiration has struck. So I'm glad I think we didn't talk about it because I have it in my mind. We've talked about Bill and Ted so many times, so often, that it's obvious why it's so important. Probably not, but it's
William and Theodore.
weird how much and how high my hopes are placed on that franchise in general.
Which I want to point out, by the way, people. This is something that this is like a little for Ryan is pretty atypical. He does not get actively excited about anything, like, ever, even in any part of his life. No, at least entertainment. I mean, I don't think his kids have done it either, where he's like, yeah, I'm super jacked about what dumb gift they got me for Christmas. No, but like movies and stuff, I think I've seen him really excited, and genuinely I can't wait to see this twice.
What was the other one now?
It was actually Shazam, but only after you realized that we were going to see it together.
Fair.
And then it was like, I can't, now I'm even
but
more
now
excited.
Shazam 2 or whatever is on that list, hands down.
Well, yeah.
Bill and Ted Face the Music, Shazam 2.
And that's
only
it.
2 movies I care about in the world.
Ever.
But Bill and Ted Face the Music, we now know VOD September 1st, I think is what it is.
I don't. Is it VOD? I didn't even say.
Yeah, I think that's what ended up happening, because I kept seeing summer 2020, and I'm like,
that's fine.
What's gonna happen?
I'm actively worried about this movie and none others. Like Tenet, don't care.
And I tell you what, that second trailer you watched. Oh, you sent me that.
I
second
sent it
trailer.
to you.
It's just getting better. Honestly, I didn't know about the daughters, and there's so many small bits. It's like, get over it. You guys are delusional. You never time traveled. So there's that entire, and again, it's all whether or not they use this in the film. Lots writing on it, but it's that whole option of, did that movie even ever happen?
Right.
And I've said this before, can it exist again type thing. So
I don't know, man, but I'm with you. I sent you that, and I'm actively watching this going, holy crap, it looks like they did it. It looks like they could have done this.
They could have done it. So that's episode 100, and we're just going to postpone it until it comes out, no matter what it's labeled in the end. So this is just a normal episode. Sorry to disappoint so far, everybody.
Okay, now I'm not disappointed. I'm undisappointed. And in fact, I am the opposite end of disappointment.
But this answers 0 questions about what we're going to do next week.
Yeah.
Do you have another one to spring on me?
I don't. I thought you had something.
I've got some rest of the show stuff we could turn into show stuff if you so desire. I could spoil what that is, and you could tell me if you want me to save it.
Okay.
I watched Onward. I would maybe advise against it. Call of the Wild.
Yeah.
Also probably advise
not
against it.
God, no.
Master Z, or I forget what the entire Ip Man Legacy.
Okay.
It's an Ip Man side thing. And Ip Man 4.
Yeah, I don't want to watch it.
None of those really. Okay. You know what we could do? I do have one queued up that I know next to nothing about. So even after saying all that, we could do a movie where we don't know if we like it yet.
I like that. That maybe the point of the show in general should have been this.
Honestly, we should be taking more advantage probably of this whole VOD thing with the pandemic and all that.
The problem is
update our
everything
catalog.
Coming out sucks.
Well, that's why I say maybe we do one that we don't know if it sucks yet.
Okay.
What if we do The Old Guard?
The Charlize one, the Netflix one?
Is it Netflix? I didn't know that either.
It is a Netflix movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I know I'm into it. I truly am kind of in the same boat you are. I don't actually know hardly anything about it. And
I know it is based on a comic, but now I don't know. I'm curious if it's a Valiant comic actually, because this is a rabbit hole of sorts, but we talked real quick about Bloodshot. I guess Vin Diesel is pushing real hard the VCU.
Oh, yeah.
The Valiant. I didn't know this at the time.
Yeah.
But I'm actually very intrigued that they could do something with like Magnus or Exo Manowar type.
Exo Manowar is supposed to be the next big one.
Really? Okay. See? I mean, Bloodshot, skip it, but.
I mean, or, if
intrigued.
you love Vin Diesel, skip it.
Okay, maybe The Old Guard isn't part of this, but whatever. It's a thing that we'll watch and we'll do next week. So there it is. We're committed. The Old Guard. Everybody next week, come back for that. Matt, do you have anything for the rest of the? Or you do? You told me already. What were your rest of the show? You know mine, so I'll let you go first.
Well, I didn't quite finish it, so I don't really necessarily am ready to talk about it. But I got almost done with Nacho Libre.
Yes, after our long and or not so winding discussion of lucha
and what this reminds me is that I think Jared Hess is an interesting writer director, and I still to this day do not think Napoleon Dynamite is good, funny, or interesting. But I think Nacho Libre definitely was better, And I think Gentleman Broncos is still his freaking, that thing is funny as all hell.
Really? Wow. I mean, I agree. It's entertaining, but that is
Gentleman Broncos so much.
You can barely find that movie. It bombed so bad.
I love that movie so much. Everybody in that movie is great. I love the weird that he sidetracks into the story, and we get all this weird crap with
literally with the snake. You mean?
Yes, among other things. with what's his name? Sam. I keep wanting to say Sam Neill, but it's not him. It's, you know who I'm talking about. The guy.
Yeah, Sam Neill.
Sam Neill from Moon.
The guy you wanted to be. Sam
Rockwell. That's it. But the other reason I really it comes to mind when I watch this, obviously, is Jared Hess. But I also, the other movie that I am going to talk about here is this flick called An Evening with Beverly Luff Linn. And it happens to also have a member of his cadre of people. It had Jermaine Clement in it.
Sure.
An Evening with Beverly Luff Linn is a movie that I remember seeing a really brief trailer for like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. Totally forgot about it. Could not have told you a thing about it outside of I remembered it had Craig Robinson in it and it had Aubrey Plaza.
Okay.
It also has Jermaine Clement and Emile Hirsch and Matt Berry. It showed up on Netflix and I saw it and I totally was like, I remember it, but I don't know what it is. Beth turned it on. And as soon as she turned it on and I saw who wrote it and directed it, it was written by Jim Hosking and David Wyke and directed by Jim Hosking. I knew I was going to be in for just a delightful little treat because Jim Hosking directed one of my favorite somethings that people call a movie, The Greasy Strangler.
Oh my, okay, all right.
So the entire movie, so when I saw the preview a long time ago, the title, An Evening with Beverly Luff Linn, 2 words, it has to do with Aubrey Plaza is married to Emile Hirsch. Emile Hirsch's character's name is Shane Danger.
Okay. Danger isn't even his middle name.
It's not even his middle name. No.
Twist.
No. Right? I do know somebody whose kid's middle name is Danger, though.
That's smart. No, yeah, I have to resist that urge. It's for 2 children now.
It's a fact. But her name is Lulu Danger. They're married. They work in like a kind of like a coffee shop / donut place, like a breakfast place. It's real crappy. And she is unsatisfied with her husband and her life. And she at one point had an evening with Craig Robinson's character named Beverly Luff Linn. And Beverly Luff Linn is you're never told who he is throughout the movie up until you kind of meet him and you find out that he's coming into town for one performance only. And it's going to be a special evening. And so she makes this whole big thing and Jermaine Clement is hired.
What does he do that he's famous for?
So he's a singer.
Okay.
But I don't want to tell you any more than that because when you hear the
face
music
you're putting on for like everything you say about this is
it's so hard because like the entire like his outfit is basically he dresses like he's a golfer. Like he has the hat and everything all the time. He doesn't really have much dialogue in the movie. When he does, like kind of when he's referenced or talked to, he kind of just groans at people. Like he goes,
He's a real Mad Max he's the kind of the Mad Max archetype.
And the conceit of the movie is her trying to get back with him or figuring out what's going on with her life. And at the same time, we find out that Beverly's manager, played by Matt Berry, is also like his interpreter. It's just
it sounds like it.
It's freaking hilarious, man. We were just dying throughout this whole movie. It's so ridiculous in every respect.
So wait, Greasy Strangler is like also a horror film, right?
Not really. It's just
like a B horror type.
It's just a ridiculous like comedy thing. It's it's not horror because it's
horror comedy.
I wouldn't even call it horror comedy. It's
okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, yes, there is a guy who is covered in grease and he strangles people, and occasionally you see their eyes pop out of their head and stuff. But it looks like when you see that, it's the cheesiest effects possible. Like
okay.
it's Yeah, it's real weird.
But he's 2 for 2 then, or however many he's made. I don't know what the actual
he's
score
3
is,
for 3. He did a
Oh.
short for, I think he did ABCs of Death, or he did VHS. ABCs of Death.
Sure.
I think he
Okay.
did one of those, and it was really good.
Huh.
I don't remember.
I'd not heard of this film before, and now I have.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Cool.
That's it. That's all I got.
Oh, okay. You know, in detailing the movies that I have to talk about, I might have talked all I want about some of them.
All right. Well, thank you for being honest.
In order of importance, Call of the Wild obviously is that Harrison Ford take on Jack London's book thing, which I think I read. Or no, actually, I think I read White Fang in high school. Or no, elementary school probably. Anyways, I'd be curious if you ever watched this, because it's dog centric. Obviously, the dog is complete CGI, and honestly, when he appeared on camera was about the time I was out.
Yeah, I can't imagine myself watching this movie ever. Honestly,
I'm not into how they anthropomorphize the thing. It's no Jungle Book, right? Like I love what they did with Jungle Book and the animals there. I mean, they talk, but you know, in a way, it would have been better if Buck, the dog here, had talked. But I didn't dig. It wasn't as good, one, but also I just didn't dig what they did. But I will give that, from my recollection, it did play a lot to London's writing style, if I remember. Like, he very much portrays his animals as people, it seems like. Like, they're the main characters in the book, obviously. So he's attributing a lot of feelings and people things, you know.
Sure.
You can see just Jack London just writing away. He thinks he's people. He thinks he's people. He thinks he's people. The end. I don't know. Call of the Wild. I like the look of it. It looks like Disneyland, you know, because I was like, oh, it kind of looks like a set. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. It's something else. It looks like, you know, like Jungle Cruise. It looks like Disneyland. It looks like the theme park made to look like the Disney movies. And I actually dug that. So that's kind of fun, but I don't think it's enough to get you through the movie or anything. If you want to feel good something, and again, I don't know, dog fans might be into this. It seems...
I'd rather watch a movie that's real about dogs with real dogs.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Not Milo and Otis, though. Don't ever watch that.
Wait.
Don't.
Is this... Are you for real coming out against Milo and Otis right now?
Yeah, I think it's Milo and Otis. Or maybe it was Homeward Bound. Which one was it?
Uh-oh. So one of those is a complete disaster and not worth your time.
So one of them, which is the one...
I wouldn't be able to tell you.
And I don't know, maybe it's not Milo and Otis or Homer, but one of the ones has like the dogs in a waterfall.
Ooh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I don't remember which one it is.
That's vaguely ringing a bell, and I feel like there's other animals involved.
There are. Well, Milo and Otis is a cat and a dog, but in whatever that movie was,
Homeward Bound is like a lot of, didn't know that?
Yeah,
like a group.
Yeah,
it's an ensemble.
It's an ensemble piece.
Really.
but I'm not real sure what but I guess they killed a bunch of the animals to get the shots, and they're because it wasn't filmed in America. It's all like documentary film style, and so there were a number of animals.
I mean, none of those two you mentioned are docs. Those are
no. It's not a documentary. It's a narrative, but
whoa,
all of that narrative stuff was filmed. You know, like it was like extra added footage. Like they just they overdub it.
You're thinking of Roar.
No, I'm definitely not thinking of Roar. Melanie Griffith is still alive.
Man, it can't be the original trailer, but I have that movie queued. And they must have recut a trailer, because it's like, I mean, it looks like it was filmed back then, but it just mentions how many people and how badly they got hurt during the filming.
Oh yeah, no, that was definitely, it was a selling point for the movie.
It's fantastic. That it will make you want to watch the movie. It's a good trailer. Onward. Did you ever see Onward, the Pixar one?
I am so behind on my Pixar movies.
Yeah, me too. Honestly,
the last Pixar movie we saw in the theater was Up.
Oh, okay. You might be more behind than me.
Which may be the most recent of the Pixar movies that I've... let me go look this up real quick.
Yeah, you look it up. Onward. Pixar does this thing that they did with Onward, where they have a trailer, and I'm like, whoa, that doesn't look interesting at all. Like, I think Pixar, especially back in the day, I want to say the first trailer this happened with might have been Cars, actually, where I was like, man, everything they've done has been phenomenal, and they're a force, and they've revitalized Disney. They are the new Disney, whatever. And then Cars, that trailer or whatever trailer it was, came out, and I was like, woo, I don't want to watch that. Same thing with Onward. Like, it came out, and I was like, okay, but didn't grab me at all, which is kind of strange given the subject matter. I should be into stabs at D&D or whatever.
I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, Onward. It's like I
don't remember
Spider-Man and Star-Lord come together, brother and brother, to their dad has died, but he's left behind a spell that allows them to recreate him, but they only recreate half of him, so they have to go on a mission. And the whole thing is it's fantasy, but if everything evolved. It's like Super Mario Brothers, right?
With Bob Hoskins?
Yes.
Then I definitely want to watch it.
In that the fantasy world has evolved to be essentially, and this is one of the things I've heard people didn't like. I kind of liked it. The world is basically LA. It's like, what if the fantasy land kept evolving until it reached LA type status? I love the look. Like some of the settings that they chose literally just look like downtown LA.
They probably are.
Burbank or something,
Yeah.
I was fine with that. Honestly, though, the first half of the movie really delivered on that trailer in that nothing really landed and it was kind of not very interesting. It does find a rhythm, I think, but never really excels like you want a Pixar movie to. You want it to be great. You want it to be Toy Story 4 Toy Story 3. My mistake. We talked about Toy Story 4. You want it to be Toy Story 3 and not Toy Story 4. This is more Toy Story 4. I didn't enjoy that as much. So there is one moment that might make the whole movie worth seeing. You might be able just to YouTube it where the brother Chris Pratt has a van he calls Guinevere that is sent on a mission of its own. And I laughed out loud for that thing. It was pretty great. And by the time they get to the end and they do resurrect the dad, spoiler or whatever, it reaches an emotional climax as well. It succeeds kind of in spite of itself. I don't know how. It's probably more. In fact, that's what it is. I felt like it succeeded because of what I brought to it more than what it gave to me, type thing.
Oh,
so,
all right. Is it on?
That's where it's at.
Is it on Disney Plus?
Yes, it's one of those things that got VOD'd super early because of the pandemic.
So I'm looking at the list here. Okay, out of all of the movies, so I never saw WALL-E in the theater.
Oh sure, yeah. I mean, if we're talking theater, I don't know if I've seen any, but like
the last
Toy Story
the last Pixar movie we saw in the theater was Toy Story 3, actually, which was right after Up.
Okay,
but I haven't seen Cars 2, Brave, Monster University, Inside Out, The Good Dinosaur, Finding Dory, Cars 3, Cars 2, and Cars 2. I don't know.
Yeah,
Coco.
Yep, they kept doing it. Cars is the one franchise especially where I just feel like people would come and pitch a thing and the guy just didn't even look at him and say, okay, fine, go.
Yeah,
like
change
they
it.
have like cartoons
people,
on
people,
it.
it's like they're pitching an idea. Yeah, change it to Cars 4 and you got it.
Did you say Cars? Good. Go, run.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those. But it looks like there's another one coming out.
Another Pixar?
Yeah, called Soul.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Soul, that does ring a bell.
Jamie Foxx, Tina Fey, Questlove, Felicia Rashad, Daveed Diggs, Angela Bassett. Music by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. So.
Oh, okay. That was a left turn there with the res.
Yeah.
Didn't see that coming.
Don't, you go from Randy Newman to Michael Giacchino, back to Randy Newman to Trent Reznor.
Oh, man. Why didn't they employ Randy Newman for this very...
Soul, for a movie about soul, it's definitely... Yeah, Randy Newman.
I will not entertain that Randy Newman doesn't have soul, my friend.
I got soul.
Have you ever seen any of these Ip Man things that I'm throwing your way?
I have.
Master Z, The Legend. Okay, why don't we actually look that up?
I can tell you the answer is no. The only things I've seen Ip Man 1, 2, and 3.
Master Z, The Ip Man Legacy is what it's called.
Yeah, no.
And Ip Man 4. Master Z is fun. And they've employed, once again, Mr. Wo Ping. I always want to say Wu Ping because that's what he does. He's the action director, right? He's sorry. It's not it. It's Wo. I'm pretty sure it's Wo Ping. I got to look it up. Do not. Everybody. If it actually is Wu Ping, I'm going to be in. Oh, dang it. It is Wu Ping. Gosh, dang it. Yuan Wu Ping. He's directed his fair share, but he's
so racist.
It is actually Wu Ping, not my fault.
It's
fine.
not racist.
I didn't make a mistake. As choreographer, fight advisor, fight director, as he's listed in Ip Man 4, you probably know him.
I need water. He did all the work in The Matrix.
Yes, The Matrix, Crouching Tiger,
Hidden Dragoon,
Kill Bill, Kung Fu Hustle,
Kill William,
The Grandmaster, which I didn't know Wong Kar-wai did an 8-man film, because I was reading. I went deep. I went down a rabbit hole with these last two because neither of them, Master Z or Ip Man 4, maybe I'll just talk about them together, are the strongest Ip Man movies. Like, they aren't. And me and you, I think, diverged. I think it goes to me, for me, Ip Man 1, 3, 2, I think.
Yeah, and I 1, 2, 3 for me, but
and I think most people probably are, but I'm messed up.
You don't have as much love for Mike Tyson, or you have more love for him.
But apparently, the Ip Man films became a genre all their own, it seems. And at one point, I think it was after Ip Man 2, Donnie Yen was like, "I'm not doing any more of these. Have you seen how many Ip Man films are in production right now? It's no, I'm not." And then Ip Man 3 and 4 came out. But that was when it kind of died back down. But yes, Wu Ping was in Wong Kar-wai's the Grandmaster, Man of Tai Chi. So also a lot of movies I have queued up.
Man of Tai Chi is good.
Is it good? Okay, I've had that ready.
Yeah, I like that one. That was fun. That is also fun because it was. I mean, I fully admit you watched that movie because it's got Keanu in it. He's not in the movie that much.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
is he not the Man of Tai Chi?
He is not the Man of Tai Chi.
Oh, I guess that's probably good.
His role in that movie is actually pretty great though. Like he does everything. He makes use of his time.
Well, that is his martial art of choice, from what I understand. Like, he's into Tai Chi more than anything.
Yeah, it's a cool flick, but he is not the main character at all.
Okay, cool enough for a show, you say?
Oh, that might actually be fun. I haven't seen that in a long time. I
put that on the long list.
I do love me some good martial arts.
I'm back into it. Honestly, I took a little bit of a break there. Master Z did a fine job of getting me back into it. Like, I want to say it's from Ip Man 3. It's the side character. It's the bad dude. Like, he has Donnie Yen has a rivalry with some guy who claims to be the actual legacy of Wing Chun.
Yeah.
So that's the guy. They made him a movie.
Okay, sure.
And he does pretty good. And honestly, it furthers his character, and I like his arc a lot. There's some kind of weirdness about it. I think with all Ip Man movies, there is that weirdness where you're like, okay, he's a real guy, and they take real occurrences, but other than that, it's just bananas.
Oh, sure, yeah.
It's fun. It's absolute fun, and it works. Like, I can't think of another movie that makes that idea work. But they do it again in Master Z, even though this is completely fictional, I would imagine. Tony Jaa shows up for a second. Bautista is, especially later Ip Mans, I feel like, had the kind of stunt casting thing going on. Mike Tyson was in 3, right? Yeah. But he's fun. Like, his fight is real cool, too. And honestly, and I'm going to keep saying this because she is having a renaissance that I can't make her name into right now. Or she never went away. That might be rude.
Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah.
Wow, I was right. That's awesome.
Yeah, heck yeah, dude. She shows up in, I've been watching Star Trek Discovery, right? We've talked about that a little bit. She's in that, and honestly makes it worth watching. But she's in this too.
I've heard that, actually, that she was kind of maybe
she's
the
great,
best
man.
part of it.
She's freaking great. So there are reasons to see it. And like I said, I think Wu Ping delivers on, like, if you want to see some fights on top of some signs in kind of a neon lit 50s, whatever it is. Are they in somewhere in China? It's cool. And honestly, I think they got the same dude to do Ip Man 4 because it looks very, very similar.
Nice.
Like, it's very soft and very neon at times. And Ip Man 4, I would honestly say, is maybe a weaker film, strangely enough.
Sure. It's not. It's unfortunately, it sounds like this other one was more the Star Wars story of the situation, where it was way better than it needed to be, or I mean, I'm sorry, maybe that one was Rogue One and this one is Solo Star Wars.
I think
story.
we've started another conversation that I'm going to pass on, but or we already did that show. Maybe is what it is.
We have.
Go check it out. But it's still worth watching. I mean, it's Donnie Yen still does real well in it. There are Bruce Lee figures in a lot more heavily, which is fine. I think in the other Ip Man movies they've been careful to not, because that's kind of a lot of Ip Man's fame, and this is okay overseas at least, comes from the fact that he trained Bruce Lee.
Right.
So they've toyed with having him appear in the films every now and then, which is fine, whatever. But it's never been a heavy thing. Like, he figures in pretty prominently here, and they do some neat things where, like, when he does show up, it kind of becomes a Bruce Lee movie for a second, and it's like strange in that way. Like, the fights happen out of nowhere. Like, they're fairly motivated in the other Ip Man films, even though because it is that wild kind of bananas thing. There's a fair amount of just watch this type thing, you know. There's maybe more of that here than not, and part of that comes from the fact that it's like every 20 minutes or so it's a different movie. It's like family drama, and then it's a Bruce Lee movie, and then it's Mean Girls, and then it's an army movie. And then it's strange, but I'm not going to say it pulls all that off.
I want to see Ip Man the Mean Girls edition.
It's in there, dude. It's right here.
Yeah, but I mean, I want to see a bunch of high school girls, but like I want it to be. I want it to be the cast.
One of them played by Donnie Yen.
Yes, probably friends with Rachel McAdams, and Donnie Yen definitely beats the crap out of Lindsay Lohan at some point.
No, it's worth watching, man. It's good.
And then realizing that he was the mean girl all along.
The Mean Girls were the friends we made along the way.
Karate Chop.
This movie, Ip Man 4, pits Wing Chun against karate, very specifically. And I tell you, I went down that rabbit hole. It's cool because, and again, it's just a Wikipedia rabbit hole, so you too can do this, but that movie made more sense to me. It was cool. Like if you look up the different stances of Wing Chun, and like one is kind of your fundamentals, and I'm butchering all of this. I don't know. I don't have any training. Literally just what I've read. I am the poor man's stupider Matt Damon, like Good Will Hunting here.
I thought you were going to say Amberg, and I was like, well, bold, but you're not wrong. I'm not going to correct you.
No, I've got book smarts and not even that. I've got Wikipedia smarts, and they're not smart. But if you look at you got your fundamentals, and then you got there's 3 forms. One of them is trying to return to the fundamentals, and the third form is kind of a last resort type thing, if I understand it correctly. And the movie portrays that. Like Ip Man gets, in fact, all the movies probably do, but I hadn't read this yet. He gets his butt kicked towards the end. I'm going to spoil Ip Man 4. Do you care?
No.
Okay.
They all end probably the same way.
2, 1. He gets his butt kicked, and you think it's over, but he gets up and he pulls out this. So Poor Man's Guide to Wu Ping, all the small movement stuff, like all the mini punches, Bruce Lee famous for having that 1-inch punch, thing. There's that fight in the subway with Neo and Agent Smith, right, where he like just does his fingers and in his throat, right type. That's the last resort that you pull out when you're about to go down and you have no. So that's what happens in Ip Man 4. It's cool.
He goes all Matrix on him, and he
yes, essentially.
He pulls out a Keanu Reeves from his pocket.
The fights are good.
All right. I'll check it out.
Yeah, that's all I got. I'm taking long enough.
Okay.
Taking enough of your time.
Well, what movie are we watching again next week?
We Man of Tai Chi we got on the list. What did we decide? We don't know. Oh, The Old Guard. There it is. The Old Guard. Come back next week for The Old Guard and find out, as we will, if it's any good.
Bye.
When I'm calling you.